Remember a few years ago when GM went all in on electric cars? They figured electric was the future, poured billions into the new tech, and everyone would be lining up for shiny new EVs. Well, guess what? Turns out dealers weren't exactly thrilled. They saw some problems right from the start, and now things are getting bumpy. It looks like some GM dealers would prefer to quit rather than sell EVs. What's going on? Why is everyone so upset? And what does it all have to do with the new GM CEO Mary Barra? Let's find out. First off, Buick dealers were in a comfortable spot selling dependable cars. Then GM hit the brakes and swerved into electric vehicles. To sell these new EVs though, dealers had to sink a ton of cash. Hundreds of thousands for things like charging stations and training. Did that help EVs sell faster? Not at all. People were unsure, and Buick themselves didn't have electric models. Still, GM dug in their heels. They offered dealers a choice: invest big or take a buyout. The result? Nearly 1,000 Buick dealers bounced. This EV push by GM was a major failure for Buick dealers. And it's a clear sign to GM that they need a new strategy, especially when it comes to their big moneymakers like Chevy and Cadillac. Why did GM make this decision? Easy. The new CEO Mary Barra might have played a role in this shift towards EVs. Mary Barra's reign at GM has been a disappointment, particularly with EVs. Barra set unrealistic goals for EV production that fell flat, while her huge investment in unproven driverless car tech has been a money pit. Barra may be out of touch with consumer demand for EVs, and her focus on them might be neglecting GM's profitable gas-powered core. What does this mean for the company? Well, it looks like Barra's questionable strategic choices with EVs and driverless cars could threaten GM's future. But why are dealers so upset? Things are especially tough when it comes to electric cars EVs. Sure, dealerships aren't exactly celebrating over any slow sales right now, but EVs are a whole other ball game. So why the long faces? There's not much room on the price of EVs, meaning less profit for the dealership. Is that the only reason? Selling EVs is a whole lot more work than their gas-guzzling counterparts. Think about it. Convincing someone to switch to a whole new technology, explaining all the benefits, overcoming any anxieties, and getting them to spend more up front? That's a tough sell. It takes salespeople way more effort to close the deal on an EV. With gas-powered cars, it's often a one-visit wonder, test drive paperwork done in an hour. But EVs? Buckle up, because it takes an average of 4 visits before someone says, "I'll take it." That's 4 times the time investment for the salesperson, which means less commission and a whole lot less motivation. So the next time you see a salesperson looking a little less perky, there's a good chance they've been battling the world of electric vehicles. Remember back in the day when everyone thought hybrids were the future? Yeah, GM totally skipped that phase, going all in on EVs. They poured tons of money into electric vehicles, but things aren't exactly going according to plan. And the thing is, EVs just aren't selling as well as expected. Plus, making them profitable is proving tricky. Meanwhile, companies like Toyota are raking it in with hybrids, those gas-electric combos. So guess what dealers are telling GM? Hey, we need hybrids back. Hybrids are cheaper to develop, sales are booming, and it's a more realistic option for a lot of drivers right now. GM finally seems to be listening. They've slowed down production on some big EV models and are scrambling to catch up in the hybrid race. They'll need all new models: mild hybrids, self-charging hybrids, plug-in hybrids, the whole package. The competition is fierce, and GM has some serious ground to make up. Will they pull it off? Only time will tell. Ever heard the saying, "Easy come, easy go"? That applies perfectly to car dealerships. Sure, they make good money selling cars, but a big chunk of their profits comes from servicing those cars after they're sold. Think oil changes, filter replacements, brake pad fixes, all ways of making cash for dealerships, right? Well, EVs are ruining that whole operation. Here's the thing, EVs barely need any regular maintenance. Unlike gas-powered cars with all their fluids and moving parts, EVs run on electric motors and batteries. No more oil changes or fluid top-ups. Plus, EVs use regenerative braking, which helps extend the life of your brake pads. Basically, all that easy service money dealerships used to rely on is going bye-bye with EVs. Speaking of maintenance, Are EVs really that great a sell? If so, why does no one want to buy them and why are dealerships struggling to sell them? Simple, really. People are moving away from EVs for so many reasons. We're talking sticker shock. The average new EV in the US costs over $60,000, which might leave your wallet feeling a little lighter. And that's not just a problem in America. China's a bit of an exception with their government subsidies and efficient production lines, keeping things cheaper. But for most countries, the upfront cost is a hurdle. Keeping your EV well-maintained is another problem. Parts for less common models can be tough to find, and your regular mechanic might not be equipped to work on all that fancy electric stuff. Insurance companies are even getting in on the act, with some charging higher premiums for EVs because of the perceived higher repair costs. EVs also tend to be a bit on the heavy side thanks to those big batteries. All that extra weight can affect how the car handles and might lead to more frequent tire changes. So EVs are supposed to be great, right? Less maintenance, happy planet, sounds great. But hold on a sec. What about the people fixing these things? Turns out, for mechanics at dealerships, EVs can be a real headache. Here's the thing. In theory, EVs should be easier to maintain than gas-powered cars. Fewer moving parts, less chance of things going wrong, but that doesn't mean there's no work to be done. The problem is EVs are brand new technology and mechanics haven't exactly had years of experience under the hood. They aren't simple oil changes. We're talking about complex software issues and problems most people just haven't seen before. Remember the Chevy Blazer EV? It was supposed to be a shiny new all-electric option, but it ended up causing a bunch of headaches for dealerships. Most of the problems were software-related, which sounds simple enough, but guess what? Dealers weren't sure how to fix them. So a whole lot of broken EVs are sitting around dealerships waiting for someone from the factory to figure things out. Doesn't exactly make for happy customers, does it? So the question is, are dealerships ready for the EV revolution? They're on the hook for fixing these things, but with brand new technology and a lack of experience, it can be a real challenge. Let's see how things shake out as EVs become more common. But for now, it seems those repair bays might need a whole new toolbox for the electric age. Seems that quick electrification might not be as quick as everyone thought. Dealers like those selling GM vehicles aren't exactly thrilled about pushing super expensive EVs, especially the ones with the new Ultium battery tech. Why the change? Well, for years there weren't enough EVs to go around, but now things have changed. The early adopters, the superfans, they've already bought in. Now it's time for the average person to join the EV buying spree, and let's just say they're not enthusiastic about it at all. EV sales is the slowest it's been in years, while at the same time there are more EVs than ever sitting on dealer lots. Remember those supply chain issues? Yeah, those are gone, but now there's a new problem. Too many EVs and not enough buyers. Guess who gets stuck with these slow-selling cars? The dealers. Right now, the average number of days it takes to sell an EV is way too high, and GM's new Ultium models are no exception. Sales just aren't meeting expectations. With the recent slowdown in government pushes for electrification, dealers are kind of relieved. In these uncertain times, they'd rather stick with what they know, gas-powered cars. After all, who knows what the future holds for EVs? But it now looks like GM is moving away from this decision. Early in 2024, GM lost billions thanks to a strike. Battery costs are skyrocketing and their tech blunders are causing problems everywhere. What did this force CEO Mary Barra to do? She stopped production on their big EV push. Instead, they're focusing on a new wave of plug-in hybrids, PHEVs. Now, some people say this is GM listening to their dealers who want more hybrids. Maybe. But it's hard not to think GM is using this recent doubt about EVs as an excuse to back away from a goal that's looking less and less profitable. Barra claims they're still committed to zero emissions by 2035. Sounds like they're deflecting blame for their slow charging infrastructure and the problems with their Ultium battery platform. Ultium was supposed to be the golden ticket for EVs, powering everything from trucks to moon buggies. Flexible, easy to make, and cheap. That was the dream. Reality? The Hummer EV, their big Ultium debut, is anything but. Battery costs are forcing them to take a huge financial hit. The Blazer EV, their more practical option, is stuck with software updates, not battery woes. It's even under a stop sale order after a long list of issues were found during a test drive. So is GM's electric dream turning into a scheme? Only time will tell. But for now, it seems they're pumping the brakes on the EV highway. Want to know why Toyota's CEO is benefiting from this situation right now? They saw this whole EV struggle coming a long time ago. Click here to see why hybrids might be the real future, and how Toyota is capitalizing on GM's mistakes.